This is your government video on the Imperial Presidency. The term Imperial Presidency came about in a book that was written in the late 1970s by a man named Arthur Schlesinger. And he had written about how the American presidency, presidents had usurped so much power, excessively more power than what was constitutional or under law. And this became very concerning. Certainly in the 1970s, this is right after Watergate and also after the Vietnam War, which were very concerning issues where people saw presidents as maybe using too much power. So here are just some examples of why people consider the American presidency to be imperial today. In war powers, after the Vietnam War was over, we passed what's called the War Powers Act in 1973. This allows the president to respond to emergency situations by defending the United States, and this thus can create war. They can do this for 90 days without an actual passage of a law by Congress. Therefore, this can be used by presidents to create more war or international conflict without Congress taking the lead in declaring war or passing a law to use military action. Presidents are also using more executive agreements with foreign heads of states instead of treaties. An executive agreement and a treaty are related in the same way that an executive order and a law are. An executive agreement is a secret agreement between our president and a foreign head of state. It does not have to go through Senate for confirmation, and it also does not come with any money. But presidents can have these meetings with foreign countries and make these agreements that the U.S. might come to aid, and all of this can be done without any consultation by Congress. The president can also declare a state of emergency. For obvious reasons, if the country is actually in an emergency like a war, a terrorist attack, or even a pandemic, if the federal government or the president declares an emergency, then the federal government has all sorts of powers that can be thus controlled by the president at the time. Here are just some examples of that. Emergency powers allow the government to suspend habeas corpus. Remember, the Constitution says that habeas corpus can be suspended in times of invasion or rebellion. So you can do that. You can also increase censorship of the First Amendment, and this could include sedition or restricting the rights of the government. People can be put in jail for talking bad about the government. This is enhanced in wartime when we really believe that citizens may be siding with the enemy or not being as nationalistic as the president wants, could be put in jail or could have their messages on social media censored more. The president can also usurp all communication, so TV, radio, the internet, to talk directly to the citizens. This happens a lot when major events have happened, or certainly during a war, to communicate what's going on with citizens and to make sure that, if to get people out of danger should we be in a war situation on U.S. soil. The emergency powers also include the national government seizing economic systems. They can use railroads or energy providers like electricity companies and things to produce whatever is needed for a war effort. They can also require that private companies stop making their private goods and instead make goods to help the country, whether that be munitions for war or masks in a pandemic or ventilators, something of the sort. Other things that are considered to imperialize the presidency, presidents are using a lot more executive orders today than actually getting through legislation in Congress. Remember, going through the congressional path requires that you compromise with the other party. Presidents are kind of using executive orders to go around that. And then the president is not using the cabinet members as his staff and advisors. He's really using White House staff, which haven't been checked and balanced by anybody, nor do they have to have experience in the job roles that they've been chosen for. So presidents are really surrounding themselves with yes people who are on their side and trust them 100%. And therefore, there's not a lot of check and balance when deciding if what they're doing is right for the country.